Hello and welcome to the program, The Desk on Global Television. My name is Anthony Momodu. Welcome to today's edition. We'll be looking at issues making the rounds from the global perspective, deep analysis. And today's edition promises to be very exciting as we'll be focusing on the U.S. elections as a top government intelligence officials have raised the alarm that there is an increasing foreign election interference, especially from Russia. In a joint statement, the Office of the Director of the National Intelligence, ODNI, the Federal Bureau of Investigation, FBI, and the Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency, CISA, raised concerns and warnings about the interference. The three agencies said they had been observing foreign adversaries, particularly Russia, conducting additional influence operations intended to undermine public confidence in the integrity of the U.S. elections and stoke divisions among Americans. The agency said the effort would redouble throughout Tuesday election and afterwards, stressing that they would be focused on 7 key swing states of Arizona, Nevada, Michigan, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, Georgia, and North Carolina. U.S. voters are choosing whether to send former Republican President Donald Trump or Democratic Vice President Kamala Harris to the White House. And according to intelligence officials, Russian influence operators had recently posted false articles that said U.S. officials were trying to influence the election through ballot stuffing and cyber attacks. All right, that's one of the key issues that we'll be looking at today's edition of the program. We'll also be taking you to, of course, Africa is where the news is as of today, talking about the 5th day of November. It's no other big news than what's happening in Equatorial Guinea. Yes, that's where the Director General, National Financial Investigation Agency in Equatorial Guinea, talking about Baltasar Angonga, has been arrested for allegedly recording over 400 sex tapes of the wives of notable people in the country. The scandal emerged in the course of the fraud investigation against 54-year-old economist, which resulted in the search of his house and office on impromptu notice by ANIF officials who came across several CDs that later revealed his sex escapades with different married women. The videos reportedly include encounters with high-profile individuals such as his brother's wife, his cousin, the sister of the president of Equatorial Guinea, the Director General of the police wife, and about 20 of the country's ministers' wives, amongst others. The footage discovered lots of things which we'll be sharing in the course of today's discussion. It promises, I told you, to be very interesting. I've got 2 gentlemen that will be helping us look at these very controversial stories, not forgetting the hashtag End Bad Governance protesters, which President Bola Tinubu on Monday directed the Attorney General of the Federation to ensure the immediate release of the minors detained by the Nigerian police force. So we'll be looking at all these very interesting talking points on today's edition. And I've got 2 guests who will be helping us slug it out in our discourse segment. One of them is already seated right here with me. He's not a person but Toba Owojaye, who is a diplomatic, or how I think I better put it, public affairs analyst, yes. And he's most comfortable with that to help us look at this. And also we will be having, in the person of Jeremiah Agala, who is the executive director of Inspiring African Youth Initiative, will be joining us in the second part of this program. Toba, let's look at, we've got very interesting talking points. Let's begin from the U.S. How important is the U.S. to the world? Everybody seems to focus on the U.S. as regards how tight the race is between Kamala Harris and Donald Trump. And we're looking at the usual 7 swing states, Arizona, Nevada, and other states who are very key. Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania. But the issue now is not just about these 7 swing states, but the issue of the Russian stippling another factor like we saw in the last elections. Now they're saying they're seeing more activities. This is the FBI and the other agencies raising this alarm. How important should this alarm be taken?
Yeah, I don't see anything to the alarm. I believe it's propaganda because I don't know who Russia would want to work for. Russia is at war with Ukraine, and Ukraine is largely supported by Biden and
Kamala Harris.
Kamala Harris. So will they want more of that? That's one way to look at it. Trump is a no-nonsense person, and will they want Trump? So I can't even really see them either wanting Trump or Kamala Harris. They don't have a dog in the fight. That's my own opinion. But of course, propaganda works well. You have to try to already find reasons to discredit the result of the elections before the elections start. So I believe this is a move by the FBI and the deep state to already start discrediting the result of the elections before the results are out. There may be a fear that Kamala will win. There may be a fear that Trump will win. So start discrediting the election already. Find reasons to say this may not have been the will of the people, so that you can have an outway if things go south.
We know the race was going to be keenly contested, but we did not expect it to be this tight.
Yes.
Because we thought at a point it looked like Kamala Harris had got a sweep, was going to have a sweep, clean slate. But let's look at the fact that the Electoral College is a very key. Both candidates are looking for the 270 votes, and for the key states also to achieve that 270 votes, which will determine them getting into the White House. How key are these key states, these 7 key states, and getting these 270 votes? Who do you think is going to get closer from results already churning out? It seems to suggest that the Republican candidate has this slight edge.
Yes, I expect Trump to win this through the teeth. It's a very narrow race, very, very narrow race. Because the American people are sharply divided. I have never seen the American voters as sharply divided on any matter as they are now. Kamala is for pro-abortion, the left, and then she's been having a lot of double speak. We didn't see her do any primaries. She found a smooth way to just get in. I cannot understand how there was no primaries and she was just handpicked among very good candidates. So she was able to find her way through the political loopholes created by the system. But she has a large support of followers because she understands that emotions are votes. People emotionally vote. So when you are saying Trump is saying, I want to deport illegals, she is saying, I want to keep 500,000 of you. So on election days, I'm going to try to vote for the person who wants to keep me here. So it's all politics, it's all everybody. And Trump is, the economy is going bad. We're going too woke. You need a strong man like me who is going to right all the wrongs. And there are basic American families who are largely white, and a few other black and Hispanics that say, see, let's face the economy. Trump will give us a better economy. During Trump's time, there were less wars. There was 0 war, as a matter of fact. So there are those. So it's going to be largely divided election, very largely, and it's going to be by the margin, very close election, in my opinion.
Looking at the Electoral College itself, how it has always been a controversial, it always had a controversial stake as regards who wins, determines who wins the election. And now there's what they call the 538 so-called electors who select the president even before the election, the political parties in each state. How controversial is this body and the Electoral College itself?
I think it's going to be real trouble this time around if it's very close and it's now decided by just a handful of people who can determine what direction they want to go. I want to take it like the Ballon d'Or award that happened in football, which is just voted by a few journalists across the world. So it's not subjective. It's not like the World Cup where you say, I won this trophy, I won this. This is votes. So if it comes down to a few college people who will make the decisions, it can go anyway. If they give Kamala, you now have the first woman president, which becomes a new president set, or you now have Trump comeback, which is the biggest comeback in American political history.
But for what we've seen from the US, always wanting to make a mark, always wanting to create history, which will be of more history to the Americans, having a woman as the first president, or having Donald Trump find his way back, and not forgetting that he was found guilty of the breach of the White House in the last dispensation when insurrection. That is still there.
Yeah, the biggest comeback, the biggest standout will be a woman becoming a president, clearly, because they've never had a woman in that seat. And then a black woman, who is also an Indian woman. So there's that narrative. But you also have to give Trump, he has been shut out twice, he has been probed, he has been investigated, they've thrown cases against him, and he's still here on the election day. So you can't, it's almost a Messi and Ronaldo fight here.
All right, let's jump into the African continent. Very interesting things are playing out, and let's take you to Equatorial Guinea, where the Director General, National Financial Investigation Agency in Equatorial Guinea, talking about Baltasar Ngonga, has been arrested for allegedly recording over 400 sex tapes of wives of notable people in the country. This controversy seems very interesting because of the caliber of people involved. How do you see this playing out? Is it going to be about morality, or is it going to be about what was it that made him so appealing to top-notch women and even siblings of the president?
Yes, I've argued this off air for the whole of yesterday and this afternoon.
Can he be blamed?
Yes, I will clearly blame him. This is
why.
Let me try to
because these are adults. You would not say he coerced them.
The stereotype that I think he is. He's a predator in the highest of orders.
Why? What makes him a predator?
He's heading a very high political position, equal to our EFCC.
Okay.
Now, it's not about the women, because for a man of that capacity...
But it's about the women.
It's not about those particular women. For a man of that capacity, he can get any other woman. He is going for all the women in the circle of men that he has to respect. Look at it this way. He's going for the president's wife. He's going for the pastor's wife. He's going for his cousin's wife. He's going for his godfather's wife. He's going for all the people that is a normal breach in a man's mind. So let's say he's sitting on a table of 24 leaders, and he's not the biggest on this table. But to himself, he can point out and say, I have slept with 20 of
the question
Hughes'
is,
wives. So it is an ego.
Did he put a gun to their head?
No. I'm talking about the intent. It is an ego trip. I'm going to sleep with this man's wife, and I'm going to sleep with this man's wife. So it's not about the women. That's what I'm trying to...
No, the question is, did he, because we're talking about criminality now.
No, there's no, you cannot hold him for a crime. I'm explaining to you the predatorial nature that led to all of this. But can you call this a crime? The person I will call who has committed a crime is the person who released these 400 videos in the first place. Now, if you have a crime, you usually cover the faces of the people involved in a crime until you have done some investigation. But this is different. All of a sudden...
So can we say this is more of a blackmail rather than him being the focus, but someone trying to blackmail him in person?
Not just him. All the women. He has nothing to lose here.
Why?
He's an alpha male. Hello. He comes out on top of the list. It's the women that have to either commit suicide or run away.
His job is on the line. His life is on the line because he can get killed by any of those men.
Yes, what I'm saying is...
So he has a lot to lose.
He has shamed those amount of men, and he has put those amount of women in a jeopardy who had a personal moment with you, and now he was so egoistic that he did nothing to destroy the tapes.
What is the guarantee that the women did not agree or agreed?
They agreed 100% to it. But
so why would you blame him if the women consented to the act being videoed?
But they did not consent to the act being kept.
That you cannot say.
No, I'm just saying...
You cannot prove that because the women have not come out to say, if you agree that it should be put on record,
Yes.
It's as good as...
This is what I'm saying, that I'm explaining the way I see the man. It is, for him, it is not even about the women. It is about the men who own those women.
Okay.
And he has been able to breach all of that. That's why...
With the consent of the women. That's
yes.
what I want to put it in perspective. Don't try to exclude the women or make the women feel like they are victims.
I am not exonerating the women.
Okay.
I am saying from the stereotype.
Okay.
In general, Randy man is not looking to sleep with his godfather's wife, his president's wife, his pastor's wife, his brother's wife, his cousin's wife, 15 of the wives of his friends. This is not a normal Randy man stereotype.
Why not? This is not a normal Randy women wanting to sleep with the same man. Why you making why the man? Why not the woman? There is no way
the women are aware he has slept with all these normal people. But there's surely a way we know the man has slept. No, the man knows he has slept with all those women, right? That is a guarantee.
You cannot say the women are not aware.
Let's start with
this. We know women are very investigative in nature.
Mr. Tony, let's start with this. We know 100% that the man knows he has slept with all those women.
And there's also a guarantee that some of those women knows.
There's no guarantee.
Why?
There's no guarantee.
Why? Why would you say
because
that?
Because he can tell you that you are the only love of his life.
But women do investigation. People see.
What I'm saying is that there's no evidence
We're not talking about
he's
someone who's got clout.
This is what I'm saying. He can tell you that you are just privileged and this is a special relationship I'm having with you, and it's special.
Does that make the women less guilty of agreeing?
No, at all. No, not at all. You see, you are missing. I'm not exonerating them of guilt.
Okay.
I'm explaining that this is not a normal man mentality.
Is it a normal mentality for those women to want to sleep with one man, and none of them out of the 15? We're talking about something that happens in the presidency, in the corridors of power, and you're saying no word got out to say such man is being Randy. We saw in the Senate when Bianca was screened, and the Senate president did call one of the lawmakers to order, saying don't use the term beautiful to describe her.
Yes.
Yeah, that's just a word.
That's a
Then talk more of actions that took place in the corridors of power. And you say nobody knew about this man for this long. None of the women knew about this.
We do not have any. See, this is what I'm saying. There's a stereotype to this kind of people. Even for pedophiles. A pedophile doesn't come to tell a child he wants to sleep with that I've slept with 12 other children.
But we're talking about adults.
I'm coming. I'm giving you a stereotype. So this man has a stereotype, tells one woman a narrative. They're on YouTube. See, there are people like this on YouTube, 18-year-old boys who just have a Randy affair and toast women who are in their 40s, 45s, and then record it as a YouTube channel. They are there. But then, of course, YouTube doesn't allow them go on to show sex or anything.
Okay.
But he uses the same lines for the same women at the same locations, and it's a feed-off. So is that so much a woman case, or the man who is feeding off these exact stereotypes and recreating it with different women? This is my point.
Okay, so who do we find guilty in all of this?
We hold the person who released the videos. This is my first point. You say you are doing an investigation, you have 400 clips. Please, why are 400 nude porn videos now open in an open space? What kind of investigation?
So
how is releasing that information better?
So can we hold the security outfit
of course, 100%
for being breaching even the confidentiality of the whole thing?
Yes.
So does it mean he's free to work?
No, I'm not saying he's free. See, he can't be. If you arrest him, what are you arresting him for? Sleeping with women in the office, with consent. Did they put a law against that in their country? Yes, he has embarrassed the country. Yes, he has embarrassed many families and his own family and all of that. But the greatest crime I see here is what the agency did with the videos. There is no reason those videos should be online for any reason whatsoever.
Okay, let's look at now that this has overshadowed even the financial crime
they were looking for in the first place.
How do you see this panning out? Do you think there's going to be justice for him in any way, knowing fully well that now his life is at risk and the focus has technically shifted?
His life should be at risk.
Why?
You need to see the number of people that he had the effrontery to sleep with their wives. See, a
Wait,
man's wife.
wait.
Tony, I will kill you if I find you with my wife. No.
You're getting emotional. The wife, they didn't put a gun. If your wife decides to sleep with somebody else, you don't blame the man. You blame your wife because a gun wasn't put. As long as your wife does not
But do you know
attest,
that in court,
yes,
if a man sees you with his wife on the spot and shoots you, he has a falesa case.
that's if he
Because
finds you guys
that's what I'm
in
saying.
the act,
So
right?
I'm saying 400 men. I'm saying the president. You can't do that in Nigeria. You won't be alive by this time of the day.
Okay, but how funny it sounds, but my question
No,
is,
do you understand the gravity of what this is? This is 20 ministers' wives.
some of them are allegations still, we know. It's not
But
like
videos?
the videos all said he had sex with all of them at the same time.
The videos showed it explicitly with faces.
Okay,
There's nothing to dodge here.
so look at what is the best way to handle such a very controversial case as it is
He
already?
should leave the country peacefully. They should relocate him to another country. If I was him, I'm never him, I can never be him. If I was him, I would say an evil spirit always comes upon me and empowers me to deceive women. These women are innocent. I use spiritual powers to control them, and therefore, so that they can have a life in their... See, can you imagine 400 high-powered women that cannot show their face on any street tomorrow or any public events? I don't think people understand the rationale behind this.
But can we look at the other side of the story and not necessarily just the man? For the women, what do you think was the appeal?
Yes, you see, there's a picture of the man that shows up.
Yeah.
You have like 20 people. You have 6 men on one side. You have 1 man on the side. You have him in the middle. Then you have 6 women beside him here and 6 women on this side. So, and it was a nice suit. He's putting himself as the alpha male. And that is an attraction for women. An alpha male, a man who every woman wants. So you would think that less women will want him by that, but more women will want him for that. And more high-class women will be susceptible to...
So is that his own crime? Is that his... that was how he was created, right?
That's not his crime.
Okay.
His crime is
So because I'm trying
moral.
to... Okay.
His crime is more moral. The fact that you are interested in...
Joseph
in the Bible was offered sex by his boss's...
No, but how can you prove...
wife.
How can you prove he was the one that went for the women and not the women going for him in reverse?
Because it took place in his office.
So the women can come so that's a good thing. It means the women brought themselves to him. He didn't go to their houses.
Yes, but we are looking at the type of women. This man is a hunter, he's a predator. You are jumping this matter. This man didn't randomly sleep with them. He selected them for who their husbands were.
So you're saying it was deliberate.
Let's go back to the names. 20 serving ministers.
Okay.
Vice president, president, his godfather, his brother,
his brother's wife.
His brother's wife. All of them wife.
Okay, so let's look at
what I'm saying is that he's going to all the areas in which normally in a man's mind is off limits. Just a normal, sensible, honey man, those people are off limits. Your godfather's wife is off limits.
So
your pastor's wife is off limits. For a normal person, that's what I'm saying.
So, but my question is, why is it that this not normal places to go? How come the women in reverse want this man?
Because I've told you that 90% of women are interested in 10% of men.
So, can we hold the women responsible?
Of course, they are not completely innocent in this. This is a Garden of Eden matter. It was Eve
so
that
are we
brought the
saying
snake.
whatever verdict is the court or the country decides, if it's death penalty, the women should be killed too?
No, he can't even be killed. See, he has not you need to understand, he has not committed any crime.
But you're making it look like he has committed a crime.
No, I'm telling you it's morally wrong. That's what I'm saying.
Who decides what is morally wrong or right?
All of us, we determine what is morally wrong.
But we know that in some countries, siblings marry siblings. Do we agree?
No, there are very few instances.
No, it happens in the world.
There are very few
even in the northern culture, people from the same family line, in some cultures, they marry each other.
But brothers and sisters don't marry. Not even in the world. That's what
it's
is
in the
called
world. It happens in the
inbreeding.
world.
Tony, let's not normalize everything.
No,
It's
we're not
called
normalizing.
inbreeding.
We're being realistic.
We're not being realistic. These are the odds. These are off cases.
It's just like having lesbianism and gays. In Nigeria, we don't take that culture. But in the US and other parts of the world, it's accepted,
Please,
right?
What part of the world is marrying brothers and sisters, direct brothers and sisters marrying?
We'll do the
Let's
research.
not normalize this, Tony, please.
But on the final note, now, what's the direction for this man? Because I fear for his life.
I don't fear for his life. I want him to find a way, which I've created a nice script for him, to exonerate the women so that the women...
Why should he exonerate the women? Why?
I am saying...
They're part of the... What
I know.
happened? Why should he exonerate them?
What discussion? I've watched a video between a man and his wife.
No, you've not answered. Why should he exonerate them?
I'm talking
That's
about...
as guilty as he is.
He is one guilty person versus 400
If
guilty people.
No, it's just like saying
women are the morality of society.
No, yeah, it's
Tony,
like
don't miss this.
No,
Women-
it's like saying Eli Haaland, because he scored plenty goals, we should hold him responsible. He's good at scoring goals and he's scoring the goals. How is that his fault?
Tony, women are the morality of a society. So
And they goof.
they goofed.
So why wouldn't you hold them
what we
responsible?
are saying is that when you look at the number of people,
We're not talking about under 18s. We're talking about matured women agreeing
the
to
videos
consent with it.
didn't show prostitutes. See. There's a normal. You are running away from what I'm trying to
I'm
say.
not running away. You're trying to
There
nail
is a
him and let the
normal
woman go
kind
free.
of- let's say a rich man. There's a normal kind of people you see with him. You see models. You see escorts. You see high-class ladies.
Okay.
You see a lot of single girls.
Okay.
They get cash out. They go on a yacht. They go on a beach. They go on in a hotel. These are the locations.
Okay.
Now, this is not that. This is virtually every societal, don't go in this area. Your boss, your godfather's wife, your fellow minister's wife, your sister's 15 friends. Are you not seeing that this person chooses the people he's going for?
Well, I think he will explain better, but this is a very
Anyway, I see him, I will beat him up.
All right, this
The
is
crazy man.
this is some love coming, tough love coming from Nigeria, but very interesting. We'll keep our fingers crossed to see how this story ends up. But a very, very controversial one. We're still yet to get final details of if he has pleaded guilty to all this, if he was the one that was enticed or seduced or bewitched to have all this done. Only time will tell, but we'll keep our fingers crossed. Equatorial Guinea is in the news for obviously a very controversial reason, and Toba obviously is ready to kick his backside anytime soon. All right, let's move to the next talking point. We've got one guest waiting in the wings to join the conversation. Let's look at hashtag End Bad Governance before we let you go. President Bola Tinubu, directing the Attorney General to ensure the release of the minors. It's been controversial. Some people have said it doesn't matter if they're minors or not. The important thing is treason. But on the flip side, my colleague raised a very key point, Ogo. She says, for the courts to ask for as much as 10 million for each of them, it's like you're asking for ransom. Are these people, did they kidnap these kids that you're asking for 10 million? Looking at those kids, obviously their parents can. Or the flip side is that they know the sponsors of these kids, and so that's why they put that high amount. If not, it means the judge and those who arrested these kids, there must be something they're not telling us, or there's something in their minds when they were putting this this humongous amount of money.
Yeah, it's a very sad case. It's worse than the case we just discussed.
What's the Equatorial Guinea?
Yes, it's worse because it has its many meanings that we need to look at. Number one, these kids were found with video evidence to tamper with buildings, set things on fire, loot offices that were just built in northern states, Gombe, Kano. They had evidence.
The NITDA facility.
NITDA facility. They had evidences to their faces and they went to pick them up. Now, the penal code that works in the north allows you to arrest anybody once it's 10 years old or above. But this is my point. You do not still have the right to hold them for more than 72 hours. They should have gotten them bailed by their parents and by maybe the local government chairman in their state. So they didn't need to keep them that long. That's the first issue here. Second issue, And a foreigner was also picked among with them, and they said he was the one who
instigated the case
and gave them flags. So that is where the treason
aspect of
the case came into play, which now gave them some sort of leeway to drag the case long. We want to find out things, but it was too horrible. These are not things you have done with children. If you needed to find out information about them, you should have, in 72 hours, you should be able to interrogate children.
Maximum 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Or 3 weeks.
3 days is enough for you to get any information you want from a teenager. Isolate them. They will tell you different stories. They will give you, then you know what to do. Our intelligence are not dumb.
Does this tell us the kind of police force we have? And shouldn't the Inspector General of Police be on suspension for even allowing this to play out?
You see, we should also remember that there are still NSAS protesters that are still. You see, this is where I respect the North. You see, when they saw the children were from the North, the whole Northern governors gathered. The whole Northern people were president, your 2027 is gone. And immediately the president swung into action, let them go.
Is that not a sad commentary that is because of the fear of the North?
That is a very sad commentary.
The fear of the North made them release the kids, not because the kids were what they did.
That is why the South needs to get feared. For heaven's sake, we have NSAS boys still held up till today, since October 2020. Why is no one pushing to release those ones? Let's get them bailed. Let's get them educated. Let's get them bailed. And if you request them, you need them for anything, bring them back to office. That's what a bail is for.
All right, a very interesting commentary there. It's so sad to let Toba go, but we're just trying to make justice of the time frame we've got on the desk. I told you it was going to be very interesting, Toba. Thank you for your defense of the Equatorian man. The opposite. All right, please make sure you don't come anywhere close to Nigeria because Toba and Cole are waiting for you anxiously. All right, I will go for a quick break. When we return from the break, we've got Jerry Agala, who is the Executive Director of Inspiring African Youth Initiative, who will be helping us also join the conversation and get his take on this talking point. Toba, just before you go on the final note, what will be your expectations in the coming days as regards the NSAS persons? Do you think justice will be more if they also let those people go?
Yeah, I think more people would bring it up. Some of us will not let it go down. They should also release them this week. The president is not a bully, but the system already has a lot of factors that bring that up to bear. So he shouldn't wait till the last moment to wait for these things to go through all the judicial processes. It didn't happen in his time, but let these kids go. Let these young people go. 4 years is too long to hold anybody.
And do you think the police force will be sanctioned? Any member of those who was part of this?
I expect a few people to be sanctioned, but like I said, the crime is keeping them that long. Charging them for treason is possible.
And the 10 million, is that more of like somebody said it was more like ransom money that collecting from the kids?
Yes, somebody said that the House of Rep member was fined 500,000 and these young kids were fined 10 million. However, his case was a civil case. Their case is a treason case. So it is the treason part of this case that was used to blow the case out of proportion, which is what the president had to step into and remove once and for all. All
right, thank you, Toba. It's a pleasure having you in the studios. All right, let's go for a quick break. When we return, the desk continues. Stay with us. Is the desk on Global Television?
Nigeria, come join Anthony Momodu on television's most compelling and facts-finding talk live show.
We are the Palestinians. We are the Canaan because
That this country gets it right.
It's the Dex on Global Television, where we analyze and dissect storming issues and commentaries in the world's biggest black nation, Nigeria.
Who is being held accountable for this money?
The eyes have it.
We stay and decide policies and reforms on the Dex. Tune in Mondays to Fridays, 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. on Global Television. Let's stay on the Dex.
is the desk on Global Television.
Nigeria. Come join Anthony Momodu on television's most compelling and facts-finding talk live show.
We are the Palestinians. We are the Canaan because
That this country gets it right.
It's the Dex on Global Television, where we analyze and dissect storming issues and commentaries in the world's biggest black nation, Nigeria.
Who is being held accountable for this money?
The eyes have it.
We stay and decide policies and reforms on the Dex. Tune in Mondays to Fridays, 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. on Global Television. Let's stay on the Dex.
is the desk on Global Television.
Nigeria. Come join Anthony Momodu on television's most compelling and facts-finding talk live show.
We are the Palestinians. We are the Canaan because
That this country gets it right.
It's the Dex on Global Television, where we analyze and dissect storming issues and commentaries in the world's biggest black nation, Nigeria.
Who is being held accountable for this money?
The eyes have it.
We stay and decide policies and reforms on the Dex. Tune in Mondays to Fridays, 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. on Global Television. Let's stay on the Dex.
All right, welcome back from the break. You're still watching the desk on Global Television. My name is Anthony Momodu, and we've got Toba Wojai just left the building, and we've got the executive director inspiring Youth Africa. All right, I had to try to get that line. I'm always mixing it up. Inspiring Youth Africa. The executive director is here, Jeremiah Agala. Thank you very much for joining me in the live studios. Always looking sharp, and almost wanting to ask if you've got some relations in Equatorial Guinea, because that's where we're starting from. Let's look at that story. It looks a very controversial one, but we're looking at it from the angle that it was first an investigation, financial investigation, before the security agencies stumble into this. Can we hold them responsible for the chaos that has occurred? And do you think it's more like a witch hunt, a blackmail, or this is just something went wrong?
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah.
I don't think it's a chaos or a witch hunt. It's only a time bomb that was going to explode anyways. it was only going to take time. So if that investigation was not entered into, something else would have happened that would have exposed those secrets. So I want to look at it as having some psychological issues.
Okay, yeah.
I think we need to sit down and look beyond the act and find out. A lot of people are moving around with a void, and they are looking for every means to fill it. So whatever comes to play, whatever they find, they maximize. So for me, I'm thinking he needs more of psychological help rather than the noise it is.
I think is it called academia or something? There's an E that's like academia.
Yeah, something like that, you know. So I think he needs to be examined first. And like we said before we came on air, that's one out of so many. A lot of people are dealing with so many things that they may not share with you until it is exposed like this. Then you now understand that people are going through stuff. How else do you explain that some people live? There's so many dirty habits everywhere. But clothes has a way of covering our dirty habits, and then we look all corporate when we step out.
Look at it from the mental perspective where you're coming from. Do you think Equatorial Guinea, the way it is now, would look at that perspective? And for the women folk that also fell victim, is it right to exonerate them from this whole issue?
Do you call them victims? Why are they victims? Did he coerce anybody into having sex with them? Did he force anybody? Did he rape anybody? All of these people are actually matured minds who made up their minds this is what they wanted to do and then consented to a video. So both ways, they are both victims. But we don't even know if they were the women that even insisted that a video should be done. So there are so many things that needs to be looked into. Like I said, we have so much that we need to look at beyond just the act. There is much more that is involved in that matter. And I think if the government has the sincerity of purpose, they should sit down. Good enough, they are taking proactive measures. I think in all of the government facilities now, they now realize there's the need for a CCTV camera. In all of the government, I think government officials now are now asked to take certain oaths. There are certain standards that are now in place because of this discovery. So I think they should be thinking in that light.
All right, let's move on to the hashtag End Bad Governance protesters, where Mr. President did order the immediate release of the persons. The directive came days after 76 people, including 30 minors, were charged with treason and inciting a military coup after they were seen waving Russian flags during the hashtag End Bad Governance. For you, let's look at the issue that you had to take Mr. President to wade into it. First of all, some people have said the amount of money requested as a bail seemed more like a ransom, kidnap ransom fee, 10 million for minors. And for minors this young, was this the best way to go about it? And they talked about waving the Russian flag. It was alleged that some Russians or Ukrainians were those responsible. How come we didn't see any foreigner there who was also arrested?
You know, in this country, we have a way of shielding those who are actually
the rich and the mighty.
The big shots behind a crime. And then those who do not have anyone or do not have the wherewithal become the victim. Now look at those children who were videoed in court. Where did they get Russian flags from? Who manufactured them? Who even told them that these were Russian flags that needed to be flagged? That protest was not about children. There were people who led that protest. So where are the people? And then it took the precedent because we do not have a working system. I think for all of the times I've been on this platform, one of the things I've advocated for is systems. We do not have a working system. For minors, do you need to detain them before you can even begin an investigation? You do not have to. So why do we have to get to that point where they have to get to court and begin to pass out? That was not the first time they passed out. Nobody considered it. But it needed to be on air, bringing us to national disrepute and disgrace. before we could take an action. Do we really have a country that actually wants to grow? Because when you see some of these things, then you now understand that I listened to one of the lawyers who was speaking, how some of those might not have wives and children, and they wanted to overthrow the president. And then you begin to ask.
Wasn't that more of eye service? And
obviously, he was working for a paymaster. He needed to be commended. He needed to work for his pay. The question would have been, if his children were in that situation, would that be the way he would have handled it?
Okay, let's look at in terms of the president's response. Some have said this is solely because these kids were from the northern region, certain region of the country. That was why there was this quick response with the eye for 2027 and all that. Do you think it's fair enough to know that certain region or certain interest is looked at before actions are taken?
Let's quit some of these transactional games where people want to become sentimental over issues because he's from the north. So bloody what? If he's from the north and so without the north, the president can win an election. So are we saying that he needed to play politics with that issue? What is wrong is wrong. If we needed to wait for the president to be the one to order their release, then we do not have a system. A system should operate itself without necessarily anyone giving an instruction. What is applicable to Northerners should be applicable to Southerners. It should be a fair deal. So nobody should make it political. Nobody should make it seem like it is because it's from the north, so he needs to quit. When they arrested them, wasn't he aware? He has briefings on security on almost daily basis. So he knew that they were from the north. So we needed to be publicly disgraced. We needed the international community to see how shameful we can be before that action is taken. So for me, I do not see it from the light of being political. I just saw it from the light of we are already disgraced. We have our dirty linen out there. Let me quickly salvage this situation, since there are people who are around him and do not know what to do. I don't think that's the responsibility of the president. We have an attorney general who should have known what the law states and how to go about it.
The fact that also civil society organizations were not, we didn't really see them come guns blazing or talking about this issue until this played out.
Because you have an organization or a system or a concussion called Nigeria that do not listen to the cry of its people. How else do you explain that people are hungry? People go on the street to protest and hunger strike, and then they are arrested, and then you're asking them to pay 10 million naira. 10 million. Are we really serious in this country? The children, do they look like people who have 100,000 naira? Even their parents, if they were to be sold, would they get out 100,000 from it? We do not. We are jokers. So sometimes when the voices of people are not heard, they tend to just keep silent and accept whatever their fate is. Many Nigerians just accept their fate now, hoping that someday they will be rescued by God. So we have left the matter to God rather than do anything.
Let's move to the next talking point. We've got operatives of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission have detained a former governor of Delta State, Ifeanyi Okowa, for the alleged diversion of 1.3 trillion naira of a 13% derivation fund from the Federation account between 2015 and 2023. Let's look at this. Most people have said this is just a way of calling Atiku Abubakar to order because there's some bit of interest here. Look at the time he was governor until now, and we're talking about the just recent governor of Kogi State, who is still on the run, still yet to be brought to book. What do you think is actually playing out here?
They've been too quiet for a while, so they needed to do something new. And that's why you see that kind of arrest. He will soon be released, and then he will be a free man. We do not have a system that wants to prosecute offenders and guilty people. And I think it's just a way of just creating activities around them. Since the Kogi State didn't work, let them try a Delta State. Maybe by the time they are tired with Delta, they will look for another state. Just create. Obaseki is about leaving office, so Obaseki might be next. But the truth about it is, we are jokers in this country. We are jokers. Where is the Kogi State governor? Why is it about PDP governors? Why is it about PDP governors? Who has actually been prosecuted and sent to jail for stealing? Who exactly? All of this is just to create media hypes. Once we are done, the dust settle, they settle themselves. Everybody is out of the scene. So but in fact, ask an average Nigerian on the street, they know there is nothing going to come out of this matter. It's just for the now. Let's hear some news. At least we have a talking point right now. So they've given us subject to talk about. Once they are done, there's another crisis somewhere. They take on something and then we forget about Okowa. And then he's a free man. If actually this has happened, like we would always say, conclude an investigation. Be sure you have your facts before going after some of these people. And then when you're bringing them to justice, you have the facts. But you're going to bring him. Now, some people wrote, I read from some of his media aides today, that he was invited and he only responded to an invitation. He wasn't arrested. And then we are creating so much buzz about it that the EFCC has arrested Oko. If they want to get to they should go after him now. Is he too big to be arrested? Or is it because of 2027 too? Because there are questions we need to ask. So why Okowa? Why now? Okowa had been out of the scene for more than 2 years, even before Yahaya Bello. So why was he not arrested? Is he untouchable? Is he too big? There is
and has the state government even raised any issue?
Of course, the state government has not said anything about it. This should have even been instituted by the state government. But they're not talking. That is what you get when you have your boy in power. I'm even surprised he went to the EFCC custody alone. He should have gone with the governor. You see the convoy and all the aides and all the media guys. And then when they see him, they will ask him to go because that's not the way to arrest people. And then maybe he will go live in the government house like some people are living in the government house even after leaving office. And nobody can arrest them. Let's
all right, time not our friend. Just to wrap it up, just to let you know that the Senate Committee on Defense declared that no investment in security and the armed forces of Nigeria will be too much for the country to bear, considering the security crisis rocking some places. This was disclosed by the committee chairman, Senator Ahmad Lawan, while addressing newsmen after the oversight visit to the Armed Forces Command and Staff College, Jaji, in Kaduna. All right, just 2 minutes.
We agree to that if we see the results of the investments.
The previous investment, that's the question.
What has happened with all of the investments we've made? So we agree there's no investment too much when it has to do with security. But how much, what's the result of all of our investments? So let them account for the ones that have been invested.
All right, that's how much we can take. Time not our friend. This is how we call it a wrap on today's edition of the program, The Desk on Global Television. I want to say a big thank you to the executive Director of Inspiring African Youth Initiative.
I think we would need to change the name for you, So.
All right. Thank you very much. Let's do this again tomorrow.
Thank you.
Oh boy, Inspiring.